open the door! Police! Right now! You hear me? I need you to open this door immediately!
I just got off a double shift. I was asleep. There's no disturbance here.
Ma'am, if you don't open this door, you're obstructing. Last warning.
I'm not obstructing anything. I'm in my own home. Please lower your voice.
Open it or I will place you under arrest. Do you understand me?
I heard you. I'm not...
He had no idea that the exhausted woman on the other side of that door had just come from saving 3 people in an ICU. He had no idea that she was still in her pajamas, running on less than 2 hours of sleep, and that by the end of the night, she would destroy his career without ever turning the doorknob. At exactly 11:30 p.m. on a Thursday night in downtown Seattle, what was supposed to be a routine wellness check quietly turned into a federal nightmare, one that would uncover years of falsified reports, expose a predator hiding behind a badge, and prove something most people learn too late sometimes. The person you're trying to intimidate understands the law better than you ever will. This wasn't just another police misconduct video. This was a trauma nurse with 15 years of emergency experience standing her ground against an officer who believed fear was enough to make people comply. And what happened next would shake an entire police department and show the world that cameras don't just protect officers, they protect everyone. Before we go any further, where are you watching from? Drop your city in the comments and hit subscribe, because this story takes a turn you won't see coming. Her name was Danielle Moore. She was 43 years old, and she looked exhausted because Danielle had just finished a brutal 16-hour shift at Seattle Grace Medical Center, one of the busiest trauma hospitals on the West Coast. Danielle wasn't just any nurse. She was an ER trauma nurse, the kind trusted with patients whose organs were shutting down, the kind who coordinated multiple doctors at once while mentoring new residents under pressure. She had spent her career surrounded by gunshot wounds, stabbings, fatal crashes, overdoses, suicide attempts, every kind of human tragedy imaginable. And as a black woman in emergency medicine, she'd also spent years dealing with people who questioned her authority despite the certifications on her wall and the lives she saved every week. Before nursing, Danielle had served as a combat medic in the U.S. Army. She deployed twice to Iraq, treating wounded soldiers under fire. She earned a Bronze Star and a Purple Heart. She knew how to stay calm when everything around her was chaos. But what mattered most that night was something few people knew about her. For 3 years, Danielle had worked as a forensic nurse examiner. She had testified in court dozens of times. She was trained in evidence handling, documentation, chain of custody, and courtroom procedure. She had worked directly with police, prosecutors, and defense attorneys. She knew exactly how law enforcement was supposed to behave. Danielle lived alone in a small 1-bedroom apartment in Seattle's Capitol Hill neighborhood. She'd lived there for 7 years without a single complaint. Quiet building, quiet neighbors, no drama. That Thursday in November, she was scheduled from 3 p.m. to 7 a.m., but 2 trauma cases came in right at shift change. She didn't get home until 9:15 p.m. She showered, reheated leftover pasta, and collapsed into bed by 9:45. She was in the deepest kind of sleep, the kind that only comes after total physical and emotional exhaustion when loud, violent pounding snapped her awake. Boom, 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 her eyes flew open. Training kicked in before fear did. She checked her phone, jumps blast lewa 2:11 p.m. She'd been asleep less than 2 hours. The pounding came again. Louder, angrier. Police, open the door. Danielle got out of bed, still wearing a t-shirt and cotton pajama pants. Her mind raced. Wrong apartment. Emergency in the building. She walked to the door and looked through the peephole. A police officer stood in the hallway, full uniform, angry expression, body leaning forward, one hand hovering near his weapon. Something felt wrong. She didn't open the door. What's this about? She called through the wood. Open this door right now or I'm breaking it down. The officer shouted. Can you tell me why? She asked calmly. We got a call about a disturbance. You need to step outside. A disturbance. Her apartment was silent. No TV, no music, no guests. I'm a nurse, she said. I just worked a double shift. I've been asleep for 2 hours. Last warning, he snapped. Open the door or you're getting arrested. Most people would have opened it right there. Danielle didn't. Officer, I'm not opening my door without understanding what's going on. Who called department number? Silence. Then his radio crackled. Danielle moved fast. She started recording audio on her phone. She opened her doorbell. Camera app, something she'd installed months earlier for packages and barely thought about since. The live feed showed the officer clearly. Bradley Mitchell. Face visible. Aggressive posture. No attempt to de-escalate. Then she texted her neighbor across the hall. Ryan, an attorney. Police at my door. Aggressive. Claiming disturbance. I was asleep. Recording everything. Can you hear this? Ryan replied immediately. I hear him. My doorbell cam sees him too. Recording. Be careful. Quick question for you. Watching, would you open the door in this situation? Yes or no? The pounding started again. Danielle kept her voice steady. Officer, please identify yourself. Name. And badge number. You don't need my badge number, he said. You need to open the door. Washington law says I have the right to know who's making contact with me. Danielle replied. His voice dropped. Quieter. Colder. If you don't open this door in 5 seconds, I'm assuming you're destroying evidence. Evidence? Of what? She asked. I was asleep. 5. 4. Danielle dialed 911. This is Danielle Moore, she told the dispatcher. There's an officer at my door, threatening to force entry. He claims there was a disturbance call, but won't explain and won't identify himself. The pounding stopped. After a pause, the dispatcher came back. Ma'am, we show no disturbance. Calls to your address tonight, Danielle described the officer. Moments later, a new voice came on the line. This is Sergeant Williams with Seattle PD. When Danielle explained everything, his tone changed. Ask him for his name and badge. Number again, the sergeant said. I'm staying on the line. Danielle relayed the request. Long silence. Then, a very different voice. Officer Bradley Mitchell. Badge 7429. Danielle repeated it. The sergeant paused. Miss Moore. Officer Mitchell is not assigned to your area tonight. He's not supposed to be there at all. Do not open your door. I'm on my way. Footsteps retreated. Danielle watched through her camera as Mitchell hurried down the hallway, realizing too late what he'd done. Within minutes, real officers arrived. Professional GOM. Danielle opened the door only after verifying identities. She showed them everything. Audio, video, texts, Ryan's footage from across the hall. Sergeant Williams looked shaken. This is very serious, he said quietly. What Danielle didn't know yet was that Mitchell had been under investigation for 6 months. Anonymous complaints, late-night visits, women living alone. No recorded calls. They just needed proof. Danielle gave it to them. Within days, warrants were issued. What investigators found was horrific. Mitchell had been stalking women through police databases for years. Photos, notes, schedules, recordings. He was arrested and charged with multiple counts of rape, stalking, burglary, and abuse of authority. He was sentenced to 38 years in prison. Danielle later sued the department not for revenge, but for accountability. She won, and she donated most of the money to survivors, legal aid, and safety programs today. Danielle still works in emergency medicine. She still saves lives, but she also teaches people one simple truth. Stay calm. Ask questions. Document everything. Trust your instincts, because one closed door, one camera, and one calm voice stopped a predator who hid behind a badge, and that night proved something powerful. Fear only works when you give it permission.